What I'm about to share with you is one of the most traumatic events of my life. It has been 20 years, but I still remember it like it was yesterday. I don't want to scare you, but I just need to speak to someone about it. It was the night before Christmas Eve. I sat on my balcony, wrapped in a thick blanket, watching the city below make its final preparations for the holidays. The sound of people laughing, last-minute shoppers bustling in and out, and the carolers singing what used to be my family's favorite Christmas music. Oh, holy night. As I closed my eyes to savor the moment, I felt the temperature drop once again. A chill raced down my spine. It was time to go back inside. The cold had grown too intense for my blanket to keep me warm. Not long after I stepped into my apartment, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Amy. "I hope you're ready for tomorrow's trip. We finally get to go on our dream vacation to Thailand." With a huge grin on my face, I sent 3 laughing emojis and replied with a photo of my packed bags. Amy reacted with a love emoji. I let out a deep sigh of relief as I paced around my room. Amy was my best friend. We'd known each other since high school, and we'd always talked about going on vacation to a beautiful island, sipping fresh juice and basking in the sun. We worked a lot, so Christmas was the only free time we had to go on our dream vacation. I was both nervous and excited. I had never been outside of Canada before. What was it like outside North America? My mind kept wandering until I was out like a light. I woke up to the sound of my phone buzzing. It was Amy. "Jessica, where are you?" "I'm on my way," I said as I hurried into the bathroom. Amy had left 4 voice messages and texted me everywhere. Luckily, I got to the airport on time. Amy spotted me from afar and waved to call my attention. She looked super prepared for our vacation. And me? Well, to be fair, I had to rush out. It was time to board the plane. Amy and I both wanted window seats, so we couldn't sit down together. I was going to sleep through the flight anyway, so it didn't matter that we sat together. As I took my seat and began to ease up, someone slid into the seat beside me. "Hi, I'm Jake," he said. "Jessica," I responded. And the conversation began, one that would last for most of the flight. Jake was a gentle man. I had only known him for a few hours, but there was something very calm about him. We talked about work, movies, and what it was like growing up in Canada. But what stood out to me most during our conversations was the story about his childhood. Unlike me, Jake was a traveler. He had been to 24 countries and was about to make it 25. His dad was a businessman, so he moved across countries a lot. Jake told me he and his dad were really close. They would go out together every day after work to get ice cream. "Where's your dad now?" I asked. With a deep breath and teary eyes, Jake muttered, "June 6th. He told me about his trip to Cauca, Colombia with his dad. The year was 1994 and his dad had just closed a deal. They were going to get ice cream to celebrate until the earth began to rumble. He doesn't remember much from that night, but he remembers local rescuers lifting his dad's headless body off him. His dad protected him from the collapsing building, his final act of bravery. I would have given him a hug or something, but I was too shocked to say anything. Ever since his dad's death, he lives a free life, enjoying each moment as it comes." After our 16-hour-long flight, we said our goodbyes as Amy walked up to me, excited. She kept on talking about the activities she had planned out on our itinerary as I looked around hoping to see Jake one more time, but I couldn't find him. He had disappeared without a trace. Weird, I thought to myself. For someone his height, he shouldn't have been that hard to find in the crowd. I didn't pay much mind to it. So we got into our cab and headed straight to the Orchid Beach Resort, Khao Lak. We had heard so much about it. As we approached the resort, my heart sank. I was supposed to be excited, but something didn't feel right. Amy noticed a change in my mood and tried to cheer me up. "We are going to have the best Christmas of our lives," she said to me reassuringly. So, I thought to myself, what could possibly go wrong? We got in late. It was a long flight. So, we spent the rest of the night watching a movie till we fell asleep. It was Christmas the next day. Amy and I decided to stay in and exchange gifts. She got me a locket with a picture of my family in it, so I don't miss them too much. Very thoughtful. We still had a week to be here, and a lot of activities waiting for us. So, We spent the whole day indoors, talking about all the things we had to do the next day. Little did we know what nature had in store for us. It was the 26th of December, 2004. Amy and I decided it was time to make the most out of our time in Thailand. We headed straight to the beach, ready to have the time of our lives. The beach was filled with foreigners like us, so it wasn't so difficult to make new friends. As Amy set up camp, I went to grab us some drinks. The beach was bubbly and the air was fresh. I had never experienced Christmas on an island. This was different. As I placed my order for some drinks, I heard a young girl shouting, "Tsunami! Tsunami!" as she tugged at her mom's towel, urging them to leave. Why was no one listening to her? I thought to myself. I paid it no mind. No one was listening, not even her parents. So why would I? It wasn't until I was heading back to Amy that I noticed something strange and deeply alarming. The sea was rapidly pulling away from the shore and the water had begun to foam. I stood, frozen, watching in disbelief as children and adults moved closer, eager to investigate and scoop up the stranded fish. A chill ran down my spine. What if that little girl had been telling the truth? Panic surged through me. I turned and ran with every ounce of strength I had to find Amy. People at the beach looked at me like I was crazy, but that was the least of my problems. I needed to find Amy. When I reached the spot where we'd set up our camp, my heart dropped. Amy was gone. My chest tightened. Where was she? With no other choice left, I started screaming her name over and over. "Amy, Amy, where are you?" After searching everywhere, I finally decided to head back to our room, hoping, praying that maybe Amy had gone back on her own. As I took one final look at the beach, I could see the 9-meter wave rise above the horizon, stampeding towards the beach. The sound of the waves grew louder as I made my way to my room, and there she was. I had no idea why or how she made it back to the room, but she was right there. The tsunami tore through everything in its path. Tents, chairs, the beachgoers who hadn't had time to escape. What had been a picture-perfect paradise just minutes before had been reduced to rubble. I had never witnessed anything so devastating. We were scared to the bones. I could feel the building shake a little as the wave hit the hotel walls. Then, I saw it. A second wave forming in the distance, a white line stretching across the horizon, slowly rising, growing larger with each passing second. "We have to get higher," I said as I pulled Amy by her arms and dragged her with me. The hotel only had 4 floors. We were on the second. I was so sure we could make it. We had to. We sprinted toward the stairs, feet slipping on the wet floor. And that was when a mistake that would change my life forever happened. While we were almost getting to the last floor, Amy missed a step, tripping all the way back down to the 3rd floor. I looked back and saw the wave racing toward us at full speed. As I turned to run and help Amy, a hand yanked me back just in time, moments before the second wave crashed into the hotel. I watched in horror as the water swept Amy away. Her screams echoed in my ears, raw and desperate. I looked up at the man who had stopped me from going after her. It was Jake, the guy from the plane. He didn't say a word, just pulled me to my feet and led me up to a room near the top of the building where a small group of people sat huddled together, shaken and silent. Maybe we were the only ones left. I was safe, but I wasn't okay. My best friend was gone. I couldn't blame Jake. He had only been trying to save me. I could only blame myself for not holding on to her tightly enough. Jake placed a reassuring hand on my shoulder and promised, "As soon as it's safe, we'll go back and find her." After what felt like the longest hour of my life, the water finally began to recede, flowing slowly back into the ocean. Jake and I went in search of Amy as we made our way to the streets buried in water. The sight around me was gruesome. I saw bodies floating lifelessly, saw people with fractured bones. I was scared and worried about what could have happened to Amy. We searched for hours and hours, but we found nothing. A few days had gone by and we still hadn't found Amy. Jake and I visited the rubble with the firefighters, hoping to find Amy. There was no record of Amy at the hospital either. A week later, we were taken by truck to a makeshift camp near the airport. Planes had started coming in. Some military, some chartered by foreign governments. I saw families reuniting. Others just sat in silence, waiting. everyone was trying to get home. But for some of us, home now felt like a place we couldn't return to yet, not with people missing. Jake stayed by my side. He didn't say much, but his presence made things easier. He handed me a water bottle and quietly asked, "Do you still want to go back, or do you want to stay and keep looking for Amy?" I paused, my throat tight. "I don't know," I whispered. The embassy said my flight home would leave the next morning. Jake was booked on the same one. But I still hadn't found her. That night I stared up at the stars from the floor of a crowded tent, thinking about Amy, the ocean, and how a dream vacation turned into a nightmare I could never forget. Jake and I made a quiet, heartbreaking decision to end the search and go back home, whatever was left of it. We said our goodbyes to the volunteers and local rescuers who had done all they could. I left a note with Amy's photo on the community board, just in case someone found her or had news. As we boarded the evacuation flight, I glanced back one last time at the coastline, still scattered with wreckage and heartbreak. My chest ached. I wasn't sure what I was returning to, but I knew one thing for certain. I'd never be the same.